Hey, what's up, everybody? So listen, you're on Golasso America's YouTube channel. That's pretty awesome. So hit like and subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average a Good podcast. Call what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad. I'm in one of Chuck Wagon's timeshares. And no, I'm kidding. I'm in Cary, North Carolina right now for TST and just got off the field. We just had our first friendly. We'll get into that if we want. But having a blast here coaching some incredible players. And Charlie Davies is with me. You got the new Heartbeat kit on, looking absolutely decadent in that. I love that kit. I loved it initially, and it continues to get better and better. So shout out to US Soccer. Hopefully one got sent to my house. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. I'm pretty sure one has been sent to your house, if not to the studio. So yeah, Nike and US Men's National Team, they got it right. So let's just keep on moving. It's only getting better. It's only getting better from here. The World Cup kits. Woo! I can't wait for those. But Jimmy, talk to me about what's happening down there in North Carolina.
Well, okay, so TST, for those that are unaware or the uninitiated, it's a 7v7 $1 million winner-take-all tournament in Cary, North Carolina. This is first year I did it with DeMarcus Beasley. We had a team. We lost in the quarterfinals to Mike McGee and Sneaky Fox, those bastards. And then last year, we switched to Quick Goal FC. Quick Goal kind of took over, all the financial sides of it, so we appreciate them. And they've been fantastic partners. We were the best team. Then they raised the teams from 32 to 48. We were the best team in the group stages. We got Sebastian Jovinko on our team. Guy is absolutely nasty. I loved playing with him last year. I'm just coaching this year. And we played Stephen Ireland, for all you old school Premier League fans, played for Man City. Tom Huddlestone, they're playing for Pasha Luxury. We played them in a friendly. I just got off the field right now, and we won 4-0. Actually, there's a clip of me doing my thing. And Chuck, I think you'll love this. I started to use some of our UEFA coaching course vernacular and ideas and methodology and coaching some guys that have seen it all. I mean, Seba in particular has been coached by some of the top Italian managers. So yeah, it's a big thrill for me, and I'm hopeful that we can have a good run in this tournament. You should be here with me, by the way. You should be on the sideline with me.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. I can honestly say I think this is one of those moments where you see, hey, I can coach kids. I've done it for a while, but now you're coaching egos. You're coaching big personalities. You're coaching guys who have done it, and you're coaching guys who haven't done it. And so, finding that balance, knowing that each player, I think, understands and breaks down information differently. So I'm looking forward to seeing your squad.
Thank you. Our first game is tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. Eastern. You can go on TST's YouTube channel and come check it out. I would love all the support that we could get. All the smoke. I want all of it. Yeah, you know what? You can talk your trash in the chat too if you want. But my team's going to show out, so it should be a lot of fun. All right, speaking of coaching, we have some crazy news. And, of course, we're going to get into some players that are not coming in for these friendlies in the Gold Cup. Yeah, if you haven't heard, and I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, going to blow your mind some of these names. But Benny Feilhaber, on our show, right? He's been part of it, helping us out since the Nations League. He jumps in for when you and I were gone for the coaching course. Listen, this show, Chuck, is a major stepping stone to major coaching jobs. Jesse was with us.
It's a springboard, Jimmy. It is an absolute springboard.
Benny Feilhaber just got the job with the Oakland Roots in the USL Championship. He was supposed to fill in for me today. He couldn't because this guy has to do a press conference. And the Oakland Roots, really slow start under Gavin Glinton. Big fan of Gavin Glinton. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, but I'm excited here for Benny Feilhaber to get this opportunity. I thought when he was coaching at Sporting Kansas City's second team for MLS Next Pro, he just was at the whim of Peter Vermes in the first team, right? You have to work with the first team. Now here, he can put his stamp on things. However, he's got a lot of work to do, Chuck, because to turn that culture around is going to take some time. And if he can get his tactics right and get a win or two, then that momentum can shift pretty quickly, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting time for Benny because he knows this is his moment to get it right. And so, if coaching's in his future, you want to make sure with your first big opportunity, this is a major opportunity to coach a USL Championship team, that you kind of do all the right things to get the foundation set. And so, yeah, you're coming into a culture that you're probably not too familiar with. You don't know what the dynamics of the locker room are outside of just playing, because any coach can watch a game and say, okay, this guy's good, this guy needs some work, or maybe this guy should move on. But how do you inspire the team? Right. How do you coach the players up, and how do you manage to, continue those personalities thriving in the right way? So it's an exciting time for him. We're all going to be watching. We're all going to be rooting for him. Pressure. And just so everybody knows in the future, if you are a former player or a former coach without a job and you're thinking about what,
got to come on the show.
Where could I come on the show? We'll get you, whether it's a national team job, a club job, we got you covered.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think Jim Curtin just sent us a text to see if he could start being a co-host on the show. You know who else should maybe come on is that Michael Bradley. Here's some news for you. He's joining Jesse Marsch and the Canadian men's national team and their coaching staff as a guest for these upcoming friendlies against Ukraine and Ivory Coast. So he's not going to be doing the Gold Cup, but he's just going to be around Jesse. And Jesse's been well documented in saying that the big reason why he coached in the first place was because of Michael's dad, Bob. So I think that's an opportunity for him to pay it forward, right? Yeah, Mikey's getting 100%. His coaching badges, an opportunity to get around the team. But I guess from an optics standpoint, having a former U.S. men's national team captain working with Canada, yeah, do we give him the stink eye for that? Do we just acknowledge that that's just part of his growth as a coach, and he'll at some point be back in our system?
I can't fault him for that, because it's the same thing as if, hey, I'm getting an opportunity versus not getting an opportunity. This is a chance for him to go and shadow. He's just shadowing Jesse, seeing how he is around the group. It's so you get so much value from just being a fly on the wall. I think that's what Michael Bradley's doing, and I think that's a fantastic job done by him. And obviously for Jesse to say, hey, I'm grateful for everything your father gave me, and now I'm trying to return the favor. So there's nothing wrong with Michael Bradley going to continue to study. That's what we both know. To be a great coach, you got to be a sponge, take everything in and learn as much as you can. So he's just going through the process. Jesse, on the other hand, we look back and say, man, did you have to go to Canada? But also he said, I can get an opportunity to coach in the World Cup versus, waiting for the next club job that you maybe might be thrilled about, but it's something you have to do, right? So can't fault either of them. That's where we are. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's a great quote or comment from Ryan, who says, maybe we're just taking a leaf out of Canada's book and they can leak us their tactics. No drone needed. What a comment of the day. Let's see if anybody can top that as throughout the duration of the show. All right, so let's move into these players. I kind of almost want to go player by player, Chuck. And I'll say the three names fast. So three names are there's a trio that have departed the U.S. men's national team camp.
Yep.
All for injuries. Okay, yeah, it's Sean Zawatsky from Columbus Crew, who's got a bit of a knee injury. I don't know if that's been out there in terms of what it is exactly, but he's out. DeJuan Jones, I was really excited about DeJuan getting into the team. And we can talk about, obviously, the importance of the Gold Cup, even though we have, but I can share some more stories for you there. Flo Balogun is probably the biggest name, though. Chuck, let's start with, I know we're going to dive a little bit into Flo and the strikers in a later segment, so we don't have to go too far here, but I do want to get your thoughts in terms of what a missed opportunity, not only for Flo, I guess, but for all three of these guys.
Yes, I think for DeJuan Jones, probably the biggest. I
mean, because he's not going to get called in again, right? This was it.
Yeah,
in some ways,
you don't want to say it's the only chance that he's going to have, or he's not going to get called in again. But he probably stood the biggest opportunity to improve his stock within this group out of the three. Right, Balogun is who he is. He's probably he's top two, right? If Ricardo Pepi's healthy, it's Ricardo Pepi or Balogun. It's one of the two. Those are the two starting caliber strikers for the U.S. men's national team at this moment.
Right.
Sean Zawatsky, he's a good MLS player,
right.
But he's not breaking into this team, right? So
not anymore.
Could he have impressed? Yeah, but DeJuan Jones, given the lack of depth at left back, he's not a natural left back, but he's made it his position under Bruce Arena with the Revs, and now with Bruce Arena in San Jose. The funny thing there is he'd be competing with Max Arfson, who Columbus Crew traded for DeJuan Jones to provide some competition for Max Arfson, but Max Arfson only improved and DeJuan didn't play. So here we would have seen another competition on the U.S. men's national team to say, oh, who's going to win out here? So I feel for DeJuan Jones, because I think this was the biggest opportunity for him to get a lot of time under Pochettino. All three, but for DeJuan Jones, I think there's probably, it's just a bad
from what we understand, Pochettino is going to be done with the national team post World Cup. So there's kind of now or never for those two guys. Again, we'll get into more about Balogun a little bit later, so we don't have to take too deep of a dive. But let's talk about the players. We're going to do a starting 11 of the players set to miss the Gold Cup in these two friendlies.
Wait, before we do that, can we just talk about the three players that replaced those three that left?
Yes, we're going to do that right after this. But let me do this the starting 11 of just guys that we missed. Okay, so we got Ethan Horvath in goals. Okay, he's out. Jedi Robinson. We have Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, both in
surgery for Anthony Robinson. So
surgery for Anthony Robinson. Joe Scally, not on the team.
Nope.
Tanner Tessman, not on the team. Gio Reyna, Club World Cup, we don't really know. He's out. McKinney out.
Club World Cup
out. Club World out.
Club World Cup.
Balogun out with an ankle injury, and then you have Christian Pulisic, who's he needs rest. Okay, that's a pretty legit starting 11 there, Chuck.
Yeah, it is. And you also, you could throw Sargent in there as well. If you wanted to play a different formation, you throw Sargent.
That's true. I forgot we had Sargent to roll out as well.
Because Sargent's been linked with Roma, I've seen.
Yeah, we're seeing that.
So
Ricardo Pepe's another one you could throw out there too.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Fun fact too about Balogun, and then we'll get into
Musa. Forgot Musa.
Musa's in there too.
Yeah,
dude, that's a solid. That's like
Musa should have been in that starting 11. I don't know who made that 11.
Well, Balogun, it hasn't actually been with the U.S. since September. That's 9 months, and with this injury, not missing the Gold Cup, it could be September till we see him again. That's 1 year away from the U.S. team. So again, we'll get into him a little bit later. Let's talk about the players that did get called in place of these three. You got Nathan Harriel, who was part of the Olympic team. He plays outside back for Philadelphia Union.
Right back.
Yeah, he's a proper right back. And then you have Paxton Aronson. So we're excited about that. He had a great season with Utrecht, and he deserved this opportunity. So I'm excited to get it. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I had to have like 18 guys get hurt before I had my chance. But honestly, I'll just raise my hand. I was one of those guys sometimes. You just have to quickly get to, I don't give a shit, and get out there and prove yourself, right? So a big opportunity here from Paxton. And then this is Chuck's big smile from ear to ear. Walker Zimmerman is getting called in as well. So,
all right, cue the fireworks, everybody. Cue Jimmy. He's got his party hat on. He's celebrating. He's saying Walker Zimmerman's in the squad. Let's go. So I just want to basically address these three, right? So we have Zawadzki, who is a center midfielder who can also play center back at times as a makeshift center back. You got DeJuan Jones as a left back, and you got Balogun as a striker. So they replaced the left back with a right back in Nathan Harriel. So now you got three right backs in this squad and only one makeshift left back in Max Arfson, who plays that position, but he's not.
So were you surprised that maybe like John Tolkien wasn't called in instead, like a true left back?
I'm surprised that they didn't find a true left back.
I mean, Des can play left back, but
but
every
also,
time he plays left back, it doesn't work when he plays left back.
Jimmy, I don't want to see another player
playing out of their position.
Changing from their strongest position to make some sort of sacrifice for another player who's not as good to play in their strongest position. So and then we replaced a striker in Balogun with a defender, a center back in Walker Zimmerman. So we have 5 center backs on the squad. Now I don't remember, there has to be one cut.
You could put Tim Ream at left back. Not that you would, but he's played there and he's playing there for his club. So that's still an option. We should throw that out there. Okay, I get it, but I'm just saying we should throw that out there because that's what he is technically playing there for Charlotte right now.
Okay.
If you can't see Chuck's face because you're listening to this on podcast platform of your choice, you can probably guess what's happening.
It's the meme where the old man, it's like 95 degrees out or 100 and it's in December and he's like this and he's like it's let's say you're in New England, you're happy, it's sunny, but you're also like it's global warming, so it's kind of like a painful smile that this this is good, but it's not really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So just to break down this roster now, we got 4 keepers, we got 1 left back, we got 3 right backs, we got 5 center backs, we got 6 central midfielders, we got 2 number 10s in Malik Tillman and Diego Luna. We got 2 right wingers in Brandon Aronson and Quinn Sullivan. We got 0 natural left wingers. So obviously Diego Luna can play in that left wing spot. And when we got 4 center forwards. So it's pretty clear where the holes are for this upcoming Gold Cup roster.
Are you surprised? I know you're surprised to see Walker Zimmerman. But what makes you the most surprised about it? Because there's Austin Trusty and Cameron Carter-Vickers sitting there.
Yeah,
and that he wasn't part of the last friendlies,
I had somebody, I'm not going to reveal any names here, text me at 3 a.m. saying, I know you're crying right now. You hate to see it about Walker Zimmerman being selected as a replacement player in this roster.
That's crazy, because I got the same text and they said the same thing and they were like big smiles.
Yes.
And guys in the team.
and this was my response. I'm not happy. I'm not mad at all. I'm not angry at all.
Okay, he's mad.
I'm not. This is a replacement player to come into the camp. One who has a lot of experience. One that is a good trainer and locker room presence. One that is proud to wear the flag, right? To represent the country. So he's coming into the camp. It's only going to make the training better in that sense. He's going to give 100%. He wants to make an impact. He wants to show Pochettino he can be a part of this moving forward. So why would that be any hair off my back? Go ahead, make the most of it. Right now we got Richards, McKenzie, Miles Robinson, and Tim Ream. We got 4 capable center backs right now within CONCACAF. So if Walker Zimmerman comes in and impresses so much to the point that he pushes one of them out, then so be it, right? So for me, I'm not angry. I'm not disappointed. I'm not angry. What's disappointing and I look at this opportunity as, man, for Balogun, that's who I probably feel the most, let down. And that's not his fault. It's by an injury. But I think seeing him under Pochettino for this amount of time, maybe Poch could get a better sense of how to use him or his strengths within this national team or how he can improve. I just think it's valuable time lost.
I'm going to just share a story and then we'll get to our first break. But there was a kid back in 2005, okay? Never played for the national team before. Had been in one camp prior to. Gets the nod to come to the Gold Cup in 2005, a year out from 2006. And this is maybe a story for the players that are on the bubble, okay? And this player ends up getting the first game to start against Cuba, okay? And then ends up playing in all 6 games and parlays that time being around the coaching staff for that time. Now, this kid used to be looked at behind Danny Califf, Nick Garcia, these other center backs, right? Finally broke through that bubble and started to put himself higher up the pecking order to January camp. Then he gets invited to the Gold Cup. He gets around the coaching staff. He gets around some of the other players, Eddie Pope in particular, Oguchi Onyewu, who are already going to be slated to be the guys moving forward. And the coaches can see the rapport, the trust, the communication every single day for a month, Chuck. That is such an advantage over other players. So that kid ends up getting picked over Greg Berhalter for the roster in 2006.
And this kid, Jimmy Conrad,
that's him.
Is still fighting with Greg to this day.
I don't fight. It's like you don't like. I'm fine with Greg. I've got no issue. Now, obviously, I'm gonna be critical when there was reasons to be from a coaching perspective, but we always got along fine. But Greg Berhalter was a pivotal player for us in 2002. But you got this upstart kid who's got great energy and a great attitude and enthusiasm and to try to do any role that he can. And he finds a way to fit into the puzzle that Bruce Arena was putting in at that time. And Mauricio Pochettino is looking for the same. And we're going to get into his quotes that he said recently on one of our former teammates' podcast, Landon Donovan and Tim Howard, the Unfiltered podcast. Got to sit down with them. Yeah, it was awesome. And we're gonna get into some of those quotes, but
absolute respect to those two guys.
Yeah, of course, guys are legends. But I do think there's room for a couple players, and Diego Luna is obviously the tip on the tip of everybody's tongue, that can break through and then start to find a nice spot within the bigger group and the core players who are part of getting us out of our group in 2022.
I think he already has.
Diego Luna. Well, he has, but I'm just using him as like, that's just one. Now, how many more examples are we going to get? Given that you have these 30 days to prove yourself. I mean, listen, you can play yourself on the team. You can also play yourself off the team. We've seen plenty of players.
I think it's one of three players. So in
Can
saying
you take
that,
all
Jimmy,
three? Okay.
No, I don't think you can take all three.
Okay.
So of what you just said, of the players that could possibly make such an impact and really impress given the amount of time they're going to spend with the coaching staff and this group. I think one of three players, if not two of three, or maybe it's 3-3, but I think it's just going to be one of three will excel to the point where they will be involved in the World Cup. And whether they're starters or playing, I think it's one of these three.
Wait. No. Let's leave that as a tease. We're going to our first break and call it what you want. When we come back, we're going to get who Chuck thinks is going to stick around. I can't even wait. I don't even know who it is. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad, current head coach of Quick Goal FC and TST. And I'm here with Charlie Davies, he's my virtual assistant coach for Quick Goal FC. Now, Chuck, big tease as to which of these three players you think is going to stick around to be on the World Cup roster in 2026. I have no idea what's coming. So the floor is yours.
All right. I wonder if anyone in the chat could also guess where I'm going with these three players who I think stand the biggest chance to impress Pochettino and the crew and kind of showcase their talent and their ability now. But here's the three of the group. And tell me if anyone is vibing with me. Okay, my first player is Freeman. I think Freeman is a hell of a talent. Alex Freeman, right back at Orlando. Maybe he's playing left back in this camp because I think Max Arfson maybe will need some competition, but I've loved what I've seen from this kid. He is a baller. He is an absolute baller, and that's someone that when I watch.
Tony loves him, so you're gonna.
I feel inspired by his play. I think he has it. He has the things that you can't teach, and then he's got quality. So that's number one.
Okay. So it's going to be out of these three. You think one of these three that you're naming are going to make the team for sure? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be like the hidden gems, right? Like the diamonds in the rough.
Alex Freeman. Okay. That's one.
Number two, Paxton Aronson. I think every club coach tends to find, a player that you love their personality, their work ethic. But Paxton has these qualities. He's a little bit more advanced than Brendan Aronson in terms of like having a good nose for goal. I think he always had like a better finished product than Brendan Aronson, maybe a little bit better at driving forward and those progressive passes. So I think Paxton Aronson, given a full season in the Eredivisie, playing in a little bit of a deep lying midfield role, his timing was phenomenal this year in getting both in transition. I just think that could be a player.
And then I'm with you. I think it's a good shout.
The third one is another Union player, not the Sullivan that's getting all the attention in Calvin Sullivan, but Quinn Sullivan.
Nathan Harris. Quinn Sullivan.
No, Quinn Sullivan. He's had a fantastic year. And, when you watched him in the previous couple of seasons, you see that he's athletic. He's got pace. He's got quickness. He's got a little tenacity, but he was a little rough around the edges and raw in terms of like he couldn't find that final pass or that final strike. It seemed a little bit rushed. He lacked the composure and sometimes the quality. But this season, it's starting to click. And he's still so young. I think given his ability on the ball, his confidence going forward, he's got this change of pace. I think these three players could really make a difference in this camp,
Okay.
or
And
you
you're
know,
saying
have
that
the potential to.
you're saying one out of these three will end up on the World Cup roster.
Yes.
And we don't know. You're not going to put your flag in the ground on any
No.
of these?
They have the.
That's what I thought was coming.
No.
Tease of a tease.
No,
That's what I thought I was teasing after the break.
They all have the potential, and I'm talking about the guys here who haven't had this opportunity yet. So I'm not talking about a Diego Luna or Malik Tillman, you know, getting a chance, or a Haji Wright is another player that could really impress. Because you're looking at the forwards. None of them have
Damian Downs.
None of them have locked down a spot. Not
right.
A single one. From Haji Wright, Patrick Gajimon, Brian White, and Damian Downs. All four are competing for that third spot. That's third striker spot, and that's given that Balogun and Pepe are healthy. Who's the third? Who's the fourth? Right. Yeah. So right now you got a full month to show Pochettino and his staff and the team. Who do you guys feel most confident in front of goal? Who's done enough to say, hey, these are my attributes. These are the way. This is the way I like to receive the ball. This is the way I can finish, and you can count on me to do that. And I'm going to work on both sides of the ball. So I'm excited for this camp for those reasons.
Okay, well, let's talk about the strikers then. This is a nice segue, and I wanted to get into Balogun. You know, as I mentioned before, hasn't been with the team since September. He's had shoulder surgery. Can't get that out. And now he's got an ankle injury, and it's just been hard for him to get going. For Monaco this season in all competitions, 16 matches, 4 goals, 0 assists. He missed 30 matches in total in all comps due to injury. It's hard to find a rhythm. And then, as we know, when you miss that amount of time, other players come in and fill that void.
Everywhere in the world.
Yeah, so when he came back, it was just harder for him to reestablish himself, and then he just ran out of time, either due to injury or due to the end of the season. So it's a big loss, I think, for him not to be involved in this one. So when I think about now, who are you rolling out? Chuck, let's just go with the Turkey game. Knowing who we have available, no Sargent, no Balogun, no Pepe. You have these other options. Are you thinking about maybe you could put Haji Wright as a winger if you want? He's played there, but probably more effective as a central player. You have.
Can I give you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I made a couple 11s. All right. So
okay. Let's get to your 11 then. Here's against Turkey. Turkey?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. This is against Turkey. So knowing Pochettino in the style of play, I went with a 4-2-3-1, which is his preferred formation as a professional coach at the club level, at least.
Okay.
So in goal, I have Stefan. I think it's Stefan's opportunity now to get a run. We saw we heard he was gonna get the start against Canada in the third place game at Nations League, but he came down with the illness or he got sick, so he didn't get the opportunity to play. But he's been playing. Get him on the pitch. Left back Arfson by default. There is no other player that can play naturally left-sided, and that's where he plays. Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie, I'd flop them because Mark McKenzie plays on the left as a left in a back three, left center back. So he'd be the left one, Richards on the right. Dest as the right back. Then double pivot, Cardoso and Adams. I really like this because Adams now has some cover in Cardoso because Adams can sometimes venture forward just like he did at Bournemouth. Sometimes he could go forward a little bit and, you know, try and win second balls higher up the pitch. And then he was very good at finding the open player. Cardoso always needs someone next to him who can kind of do a lot of the legwork, cover a lot more ground. So he's more comfortable on the ball. I like having those two be options when you're building out of the back. Malik Tillman in front of them as a number 10. And I see Allison Bailey before I even finished. She said no U.S. experience yet, though. This is what this competition is for. It's for experience. You're missing a number of players that we saw in the best 11 of players who aren't at this camp. Well, you got experience in Stefan. You got experience in Chris Richards and Dest and Adams, Brandon Aronson, Haji Wright. He had a World Cup. So there's enough experience here. Left wing, Diego Luna. Right wing, Brandon Aronson. We've seen how good he is at pressing and playing higher up the pitch. I don't think number 10 is his best role, especially if you're talking about a solo number 10. And then Haji Wright up top. I think in this case, you're looking at Haji Wright. You're looking at, Damian Dowds is probably a fourth tier because he hasn't played yet. So unless he does something incredible on the build up to this game, I see him being still number 4. Brian White is probably number 3. Patrick Gajiman is ahead of Brian White just because of what he's done with the U.S. men's national team, not what he's done with his club career. Although he's had some moments here and there this season, but nothing consistent like we've seen from Brian White. And Haji Wright, given that he's playing the World Cup, he's scoring the World Cup, he's had some good moments with the National League and Nations League a couple seasons ago, and then he's had a decent season playing under Frank Lampard. He's had to battle some injuries, but it feels like, all right, Pochettino wants to see what he can do because he's seen what Brian Wright and Ajiman have done already. So I think that's a good formation to build off in a 4-2-3-1. Now, because we're lacking some wide area players, we're talking about wingers, a 3-5-2 and a 3-4-3 would also both work here, given the amount of center backs.
Okay.
That are
that's now we're bringing in Zimmerman and playing a back 3. What's happening right now? Like, dreams are realized over here. Chuck, we don't have graphics for those 2 particular lineups, but okay, who would be all your 3 center backs then?
Well, given that, Jimmy, I think what you'll love is they have all played in a back 3. Miles Robinson at Cincinnati, back 3. Chris Richards, back 3 at Crystal Palace. Mark McKenzie, back 3 at Toulouse. So all 3, that would be my starting 3 center backs, by the way. Miles Robinson as the right center back, Chris Richards as the middle center back, and Mark McKenzie as the left center back. The reason why I think that would work really well, especially in this Gold Cup, is that you have Robinson and McKenzie who have a little bit more pace than Chris Richards. Chris Richards reads the game really well. I think all 3 actually do, but this would set up Chris Richards to kind of be the anchor of the back 3. And I like that with that back 3. Dest is the right wing back. Max Arfson in a more natural left wing back spot where he plays for Columbus Crew. And then Adams and Cardoso, again, the 2 central midfielders, and then the 3 up top. Tillman on the right, Luna on the left, and Haji Wright up top. That's in a 3-4-3.
So what would you do? I would go with a 3-5-2 and play a box in midfield. So same back 3, your 2 wing backs the same. I would go the 2 6s, 2 10s. You could actually play Tillman and Luna together if you wanted. And then Haji Wright could be up top. And then you have Adams and Cardoso as your 6s. I wouldn't be mad about that lineup. I'll be honest. To have Tillman and Luna together, like in that is the only.
I'm not mad at any of these lineups, to be honest. I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them.
Like, finding a way to get Tillman and Luna on the field together at the same time is fascinating to me, and I think that's the only formation they could really make that happen in a 3-4-2-1 ultimately. And I would love to see it, and because we don't have our traditional wingers out there, that allows a Dest and an Arfson to really create the width for us, and then we can create numerical advantages in the middle of midfield. Man, I hope we see that. Now you got me all fired up, Chuck. I appreciate that.
What about this though? In the same kind of area, same breadth of a 3-5-2, you got the same back 3. We said the same midfield 4, but instead of the box, you went Tillman as a lone 10 in front of Adams and Cardoso, and then you have Haji and Patrick Gajiman playing together.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. You could go
or Haji and Luna as like a false 9 kind of playing.
Yeah, I mean, right. The false 9, you still fall into a box a little bit. I guess the box would be more. I don't know if we've lost all the non-soccer nerds in there, but we're saying like 2-10. So basically your wingers would be inverted and play kind of like double second strikers. But
Hey,
so I don't know if you can envision the box. We're just assuming we got a bunch of soccer nerds that love us as much as we do.
We're nerding out right now. But I also want to address this comment from Juan Garcia because I'm interested in what you think, Jimmy. He said they're going to play a 4-3-3 since that's what they're going to play at the World Cup. Now, we just came from our coaching course. So when you're missing all the players that you're missing, right? And for Pochettino, he's got a month with these guys. Wouldn't you, if you were Pochettino, say, I've got a month with a kind of almost a completely new set of players, and I gotta see where they're at. I gotta test them, and I don't want to see if it's possible that we could roll out, a different formation considering the opponent and considering maybe an injury or suspension. and the lack of wingers that we have, wouldn't you think, maybe a 3-5-2 would be good with this group, or a 3-4-3, or trying something a little bit different, given the players that you have?
I get and understand where Juan's coming from. We appreciate his comment, but I agree with you, Chuck, that there is something to be said for a team that can be fluid and flexible and can adapt to whatever the situation is, whatever the opponent is. If we have injuries, we don't have any wingers. So play to the strengths of your players. Don't try to force them into a formation that isn't their best fit. You want to see your players playing in their best positions. We talked about it in the first segment about Serginho Dest. Yes, he can play left back, but that's not where he's best at, and that doesn't make our team as good if he's not on the right side, which is where he thrives. So whatever. They say it in leadership. They see it in coaching. You got to meet your players where they are. And if this group of players is a better fit for a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-5-2, and you want two strikers, then that's what you play. And you just try to maximize that. Now, if you bring Tim back in and Christian comes back in, and then you start to have different tools in your tool belt, right? And then you can maybe be flexible. I think it's awesome. Listen, the best teams in the world can play multiple formations, and sometimes in the same sequence, right? Hey, actually, we went to press here. Okay, somebody got beat. They broke our press. Now we have to adapt. Formations go out the window. You got to address the ball. Everybody's got to tuck in, and you got to be difficult to break down. You don't want to get split. Anytime you get split, that just opens you up for more trouble, right? Then you get players that can turn in between the pockets of space, and they can really hurt you. You want to keep it around you and make it as predictable as possible until you can get reset, and then you can try to trigger and trap them in certain areas. These are all things you get to work on at a club level over and over and over and over and over every day. The national team just becomes a different beast. So you almost have to simplify how you want to play. But because these guys, and I always thought this, Chuck, when I played for the national team, I actually thought it was easier to play with the other guys on the national team because their understanding and IQ of the game was so high that I could just focus on being the best version of myself that I could be and how I fit in with the rest of the group. Yep. There's no disrespect to my former club teammates, but you just, it's another level, right? It's another step up.
You're disrespecting the hell out of them right now. I'll tell you that right
now. Listen, they would say the same thing. They know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah. Anyway,
you're spot on. You're spot on with coming into a team. Remember, the guys that are playing in Europe, they might have played with 3 different coaches, 3 different tactics. Like I look at Christian Pulisic, he had 3 coaches in the span of a season. So you're thinking in 1 year, you're thinking, well, one coach likes to play a formation. This coach likes to play in this formation. This coach wants to put you in different positions. So all of these guys are tactically flexible. You need to be in Europe. You can't not understand the game and play in Europe. And that goes that's why I'm so impressed when I think of Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah and Christian Pulisic. It might be a small thing when you think, oh, he's playing on the right versus left.
Right.
But it's not, because some teams get their right wing backs higher up the pitch, or the right back or left back are more involved than others. The dynamic in central midfield. There's a lot that goes on depending on each club and each manager's preferred way of playing. So it's I think it would serve Pochettino best if he were able to just look at the group that he has and say, this is this guy's best position. This is this guy. I'm not playing people. All of a sudden, I'm playing 3 or 4 guys out of position to accommodate some of the other players who haven't proved themselves yet. And now it's not a fair look.
Yeah, he's really got to identify who he trusts, right? And somebody told me the other day, I think it was either here at the coaching course, Chuck, where your top 12 or 13 guys, like, they play the most. So they kind of know how to move. They get trusted the most. They have the most responsibility. They've had probably different discussions with the coach and the coaching staff about, the tactics at another level than the guys that aren't there. But if we're going to actually win a World Cup or make a deep run, it's not going to be 13 guys that win it for us. It's going to be 18 to 20, right? And so finding those and the guys that don't play, how good of teammates are they? How do they fit in with everybody else? How do they raise the level of training? How do they have good attitudes? Like, you have to figure out. That's what Pochettino has to do. He's got to build this puzzle and find the right pieces. Again, a massive, massive opportunity for all these guys that are getting a month to do this. I will say I can't wait to get into our Turkey A preview at some point, because when I look at the front 3 of Turkey, they have Arda Güler, they have Kenan Yildiz from Juventus. Arda Güler plays for Real Madrid, and then they have Can Usun, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. and he's 19. The other two are 20. So, okay, if we play a back three, how are we managing those three who are excellent in 1v1 situations? That's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope actually they get rolled out because we need to figure out which players can solve problems, right? Obviously, we have tactics. Different problems are going to present themselves in the game, and do we have problem solvers on the field that don't get emotional and just get shit done and make plays, right? That's what I'm looking for, people that know how to make plays. Anyway, we're going to take our last break and call what you want. When we come back, we're going to get into Mauricio Pochettino's comments, and we're also going to talk about the Club World Cup. Whoa, don't go anywhere.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Okay, welcome back in to your favorite Average to Goodness. Listen, for those that didn't know or don't follow me and Chuck on Instagram, we went out and got dinner, me, Chuck, and Big Tones. We were all in the same place at the same time, and I just want to say it publicly. We had an average to good conversation over an average to good dinner, and it was just average to good all over the place. It was amazing, but always fun to hang out with those guys in person because we get into some funny stories. All right, let's get to Mauricio Pochettino. I thought we were going to hit it in the B block. We saved it for the end. So on Landon and Tim's podcast, Unfiltered Soccer podcast, he said this, Mauricio Pochettino, on prioritizing the national team. Quote, the people need to prioritize the national team. We're talking about Argentine players or Brazilian players or English players or Spanish players. They are desperate. Even Messi, even Neymar, even Mbappe. We are working with these guys, even Harry Kane. These guys are desperate to go to the national team. Okay? Quote continues, for them, when they go, they don't see if it's a friendly game, if it's an official game, it's a World Cup game. It doesn't matter because the possibility to defend one time your flag, your shirt, I want to feel proud about that. And that is the responsibility to us to translate. Woo! That is red hot, Chuck. I feel like he's talking to a handful of players.
He's talking to the country. I tell you, he's talking to every player in the U.S. men's national team pool. He said, let me make this clear. No one is above it. No one. And I'm telling you, I've coached. He made sure he wanted to reference some names. I've coached some of the best to ever play the game. They all were willing to sacrifice for the badge, for the country, right? It's an honor. It's one of those things where he was trying to make people aware that it's all or nothing. You sacrifice whatever it takes. Nothing comes before playing for your country, no matter what you've achieved. And I think Messi was probably the biggest one there, just to say, hey, whenever there's an opportunity to play with the national team, his hand is up first. He leads by example. So read between the lines is what I'm telling you, Jimmy.
Yes. So yeah, it's easy to read between the lines. I think what's interesting, and I had a conversation with some of my friends from South America. If one of their players turned down the opportunity to represent their national team, their own family would disown them. It would be so beyond unacceptable that the shame and embarrassment that would come from that is it's fascinating. And that, obviously the cultures are different and I'm not here to say whether, I get it. Rest is important. And it's an important part of making sure you're fresh for something later. And I shared a story a couple of podcasts back where that mattered. Now, it wasn't a Gold Cup that I missed per se, but it was a January camp. And I'm somebody that would never turn that down. So obviously it was something weighing heavy on me, but so we don't know all the details, but yeah, he's put his flag in the ground and he has to at this point. Like you got to come in and bleed for the shirt. And if you're not going to, he's going to go find somebody else. And
what we do know, Jimmy, is it's pretty simple. Christian asked for a break, mental break, physical break, both. And he's granted it, right? He hasn't said you better come. I'll give you an ultimatum, right? He's granted it, but he's also said, by the way, I'm going to grant it. And I would never be the person to say you don't deserve a break or you don't need a break, especially if you're on the breaking point, right? We're not in his shoes. Right. We don't know what he's going through or what he has gone through. So we can't be here to judge someone if they need a mental break. If they need a mental break or a physical break, then give it to them. It's actually, for everybody to know, it's June 3rd. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think it's important that we're having this conversation
100%.
to begin with. But you can't tell me like a player like Tyler Adams doesn't need the mental break or physical break when he's been battling injuries for his whole damn career. He finally has played a full season in the Premier League for Bournemouth, and they had an incredible season. You're telling me he doesn't need a break? You know what I'm saying? Anthony Robinson would have been there if he hadn't had surgery. He had to have surgery because he was, trying to struggle through maintenance of an injury. So essentially, and then Yunus Musa, we don't know as well, personal reasons. It could be a number of things, but what I will say is we can't sit here and point the finger or blame when we don't know what's happening. You just simply can't. If this was simple, I'm tired, I just need a break, I'm kind of over soccer, I'm burnt out, then hey, have at it. Have all the criticism you want. But if you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, or if anything is happening, you just can't assume anything. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Maurico Pochettino making sure everybody knows. You're right, Chuck. Maybe it was for specific players, but he also put the rest of the country on notice, the whole player pool on notice, the extended player pool on notice. These are the expectations and standards that are going to have to be lived by moving forward. And we'll see who steps up and responds. It should be an incredible month. And obviously we got the friendlies first against Turkey and Switzerland. Okay, let's move into the Club World Cup, because we got to give flowers to LAFC and Steve Cherundolo. They had a one-off game against Club America at BMO Stadium in LA, at LAFC's home stadium. They're very good. They've only lost once there all season in all comps. They went down 1-0, Chuck. They come back, 88th, 89th minute to tie it up, to make it 1-1. So Brian Rodriguez scored on a penalty in the 64th minute. And then the 89th minute, we had Jesus, who comes in. Igor Jesus gets the goal to tie it up. And then that set the stage for Denny Bouanga. Who else to score in extra time, like 5 minutes before penalties? And they win 2-1, and they book their ticket to the FIFA Club World Cup. It's worth $10 million, arguably the most expensive game that they've ever played in. $10 million, and they get a date with Chelsea in their first game in Atlanta on June 16th. So shout out to Steve Cherundolo. I texted him afterwards. He's buzzing. We got to get him back on the show. We should probably do that before the FIFA Club World Cup starts, just so he can kind of let us know how it's going. He now, just as a reminder, he announced like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Chuck, that he was going to leave the club at the end of the season. So it's cool for him to have a couple cherry on top moments before.
My guy's already won an MLS Cup. He's already been an MLS Cup final loss. He's won the support.
I don't know. I'll have to look at that.
I don't think so. I don't think they've won the Support Shield.
Okay.
That could be.
He won MLS Cup. Best MLS Cup I've ever seen. Yeah.
They won MLS Cup. They haven't won the Support Shield, because remember, Philly won the Supporters Shield 2022. That's right. Revs won it 2021. Philly won it Miami won it last year. I don't know who won it last. It wasn't LAFC, but either way, Club World Cup, MLS Cup. They had a deep run in CONCACAF Champions Cup, right? So he's done an incredible job and a great job. Short-lived managerial stint. So on the up for Steve.
Let's take a look then. There's 3 MLS teams in the FIFA Club World Cup. You have Inter Miami, LAFC now, and Seattle Sounders. The odds of either one of these teams getting out of the group is in favor of Leo Messi. The bookies clearly have not seen the back four of Inter Miami, but they're pretty much even money. Inter Miami, even money to get out of the group. We'll look at their groups in a second. LAFC, second favorites at plus 130. And Seattle Sounders, man, they are in a ridiculously tough group, plus 350. But, well, let's get into the details of this tournament first. The FIFA Club World Cup, it's an inaugural tournament. It's going to be played against across the U.S. It runs from June 14th to July 13th. I still have issues with FIFA staging a club event while a continental tournament's going on. Like, would they ever do this for the Euros or Copa America? Sure. We know that the Gold Cup maybe doesn't have the same prestige as those two tournaments, but still relatively disrespectful to do that. Anyway, sidebar, we'll have another conversation about that. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I can just be bitter by myself. 32 clubs are going to be split into 8 groups, and there's $1 billion. You can just see Johnny Infantino doing a Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. $1 billion in the total prize money here. And you make the tournament, you already got 10. So you're cruising. But let's get into the groups because, there's some tough groups. And when I look at Group A in particular, Chuck, you have You have Palmeiras. You have FC Porto, Al Ahly, who I don't think are going to be on paper. You think, oh wow, it's Al Ahly. We don't really know much about. They're going to be good. And then Inter Miami are in Group A. So again, the bookies think they're going to get out. Even money.
It's doable. It's doable.
It's doable. It's doable.
It's not like mission impossible. You're not in a group with
Atletico,
PSG, and Botafogo.
Yeah, Group B is crazy. You got PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Botafogo. And then the Seattle Sounders are the last team. So you can see why
that's an L. I can tell you that right now. That's an L.
That's a big L. We're going to get back to the Sounders here in a second. And then Group D, where LAFC have now found themselves, beating Club America, Flamengo, very good Brazilian team, Esperance de Tunis, who okay, another one like Ali. We don't know a lot about them, but listen, they're going to be good. If you start showing any of these teams some slight disrespect, they're going to kick your ass, okay? And then you have Chelsea. So, and listen, I'm living it right now in TST. Like, we have some teams and players you don't really know, but if you don't come out there and go out and play and want to compete, you're going to get your ass kicked. And then Chelsea and LAFC. I think they can get out of that group, but I hope they can get. It's more of like a hope. I hope they can get out of that group. And same with Inter Miami, like Porto, Palmeiras, Al Ahly. Like, come on, dude, those are good team. You got to be on it. They can't just like walk around. They got to be on it.
Yeah, but you could surprise, two of the three, even three of the three. It's not like you're up against PSG and Real Madrid, or like they're all good clubs.
Yeah,
but if Inter Miami's having their day, and who knows if they make a signing before that game that could change the outlook,
So I believe, does Inter Miami play Al Ahly first? Can somebody confirm that for me?
I can
confirm.
I can confirm it is.
Yes. On June 4th, they play against Al Ahly on June 14th before facing Porto on June 19th and Palmeiras last. The Sounders host Botafogo on June 15th and Atleti 2nd, and then they get PSG on June 23rd. Seattle has the benefit of hosting all three of those games. But Inter Miami opening up against Al Ahly, that's the game they need to win. Like, if they look at that strategically, that they have to win that game. And if they don't, they're definitely getting bounced out of their group. Agreed. So, yeah, wow. Also, just a correction on LAFC. They won the Supporter Shield in 2022. So wanted to make sure we circled back on that so that nobody gets mad at us in the chat, in the comments.
Yes.
Okay? We made the correction.
Much love to LAFC.
Much love, LAFC. Congratulations once again. So let's talk briefly about the Seattle.
We didn't mean to discredit.
Yeah, no disrespect there. Okay, we know that I think you've won every trophy. You even won the Open Cup, right? That's another one that Steve, I was there when he did it. Very cool. So Seattle Sounders, ahead of their game against Minnesota United this past weekend, wore shirts that said FIFA Club Cash Grab before and during their warm-up, which is hilarious. Because they want the players want more of a cut. We can get in more to the details. We're going to try to get somebody on from the Players Union and maybe have Professor Bank on again, who really, he's from UCLA and he's been on the show before, and maybe he can give us some insight on that. But they took a stand, and because they're hosting all three of those games, so clearly there's gonna be sold out for sure. And I'm not going to get into the weeds because I don't want to get into too many details without knowing all of them. But they're just looking for a little bit more of a percentage of what the club is getting, based on all the extra work that they're doing as players. And I know there's a collective bargaining agreement, and maybe that wasn't negotiated the right way. And hey, the terms are the terms. That's what you signed. You have to agree to that, including your own personal contracts. But I think what sucks for them, Chuck, is that they went and took a stand, and then they threw up a bit of a lemon performance against Minnesota United, and they lost 3-2, which I think takes a little wind out of your sails. Listen, I was on the executive committee for the Players Union, so I'm always player first, and I want to make sure that. So
you let the players down then in that CBA?
Well, I was part of the first CBA. I
knew it was you, Jimmy. I knew it was you, Jimmy.
Yeah. I had to lay the foundation so everybody could stand on my shoulders and we could keep growing from there.
I heard you were the mole for the league.
Fault. Yeah,
you worked for the league.
Yeah. Okay.
I heard you worked for the league, double agent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what's going around.
So much so that they don't even ask me to do any Apple TV stuff. That's how much they love me, Chuck. I don't know how far down this rabbit hole you want to go.
Let's not go any further. We don't want to.
So obviously, we'll get more details about this situation, and I don't think the Sounders are alone in this. I'm sure that there's other federations and clubs that are. There's $1 billion on the line, and they're going to make a lot more as they continue to get through. I'm getting through that group's going to be difficult, but as we get more details, we can get more people on kind of both sides of the coin on this conversation. We'll get them on and talk about it. But we did want to address it, and so disappointed they didn't get the win. That probably didn't help them out with their messaging. But anyway, all right.
How do you feel about the players though? Because obviously we were players, so we understand. Man, this deal isn't quite working out for us, given where the league is in this Club World Cup and some of the bonuses that are apparently being shared with other clubs and other teams, right? Other players. So they wear these shirts, but the club isn't too happy about it, right? So
no, we've heard some smoke, that the ownership group and isn't happy with the stands. Here's where I'll net out on this. When I look at the Seattle Sounders roster and the leaders of that club for players, Christian Roldan, right? You have Stefan Fry in goal. Jordan Morris. You have Paul Arriola, Jesus Ferreira. These guys have been around. So for them to take that step to say, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to send a message that whatever they're feeling right now isn't good enough, or they don't feel like they're being treated fairly, that comes from some place. These guys seem like smart, reasonable guys. They've been through the trenches of this before. Obviously, if they were pissed about a collective bargaining agreement thing that they didn't like, that got approved, that's a bigger issue. That's something they have to sort out in a different way. They decided collectively to take a stand. They all wore these shirts. And so when you have employees who are collectively upset about something, you got to go address it. You don't have to be happy about it. And from what I understand, the ownership of Seattle is not happy about it. And maybe they felt a little embarrassed by how it, and maybe they got caught off guard, right? There could be a whole bunch of reasons. But I think that you hope that that's just going to bring people to the table as unemotionally as possible so you can solve it. And everybody feels good about what they're doing moving forward.
Do you think they've got a tough group before the first game?
I don't know. Because I wonder how it depends on the level of anger and frustration that the ownership group had. I know that Seattle does an excellent job, maybe goes above and beyond other MLS clubs in terms of taking care of their players. And so if they already feel like that they're in that space and doing that, and now the players are trying to like double down on a different thing, I don't know. But the players might have felt like they got told or promised something, and that didn't come true, right? So now you're kind of in that expectation game where they expected one thing and got something different. There's a lot of gray area there. That's why we need to get people on that maybe know a little bit more about the details or can explain it a little bit better. But if we're getting into the emotional side of it, that's where I think we are at the moment. And they can sift through the emotion and kind of get at where everybody is. Yeah, they're going to solve it. Honestly, ton of respect for the front office and the ownership group there and for the players, right? So I'm hopeful that they can net out and find something where everybody feels good and that the energy when they step on the field in that first game is in the right place. And so they can obviously demonstrate and show what the Seattle Sounders are all about. And coming off of a performance where they should have done better at home. It's unfortunate they couldn't use some of that as momentum.
Funny thing is, Jimmy, I've never heard a negative thing about the Seattle Sounders organization from top to bottom.
Same.
Never. And so as shocked as I am to see the players, with the cash grab t-shirts. And at first I was like, oh, this is a shot at MLS, not at Seattle. Maybe it's, but I bet you the Seattle ownership group were just as shocked as I am, because they're probably like, hey, we take care of you guys. We give you everything. We're amongst the best in the league with all our facilities and how we've run things. I remember, Clint always speaking glowingly about Seattle and the ownership group. Adrian Hauner
Hanauer.
Is a fantastic person from all accounts. This is I would love to have somebody come on here and kind of spill the tea.
I don't know if we'll get that right. You might want to solve that behind closed doors. That might be for the best. But I mean, I've got so many incredible people that I know that are working for the front office. You have Alex Caulfield, who I've known forever, Taylor Graham, who I played with,
great guy, Caulfield,
and amongst many others, right? And so I agree with you 100%. I've never heard one thing that's been negative about the Seattle Sounders. Big fan of Brian Schmetzer. Feel like he's still one of the more underrated coaches in MLS history.
For sure.
And he's done a great job of developing coaches too. I love that, Ezra Hendrickson, who I adore, worked with him for a while and got the job at Chicago. Didn't work for him, but at least he got that chance to prove himself. And so, yeah, they do so many great things in so many different ways. So I'm hopeful they can net out in something positive. So on that happy note, Chuck, and players not coming to camp. Listen, this has been a fun show. We'll come back and join you again on Thursday.
Hey, after a big win from Goal FC, right? Quick goal. Let's go.
Quick goal, baby. Quick goal FC. Yes, again, we have 2 games tomorrow. We're taking on Aroha from Switzerland in the morning at 11:15 a.m. Eastern time.
Hey,
and
don't you dare come on this podcast without a W. I'm telling you that right now. Don't you
it's
dare
not about
show
results.
up Thursday.
Listen,
No,
if we make
it's
good soccer decisions
at the pro level, it's about results. At the pro level, Jimmy, come on. We're not coaching kids anymore.
It's about results.
It's about results.
That's right. But I want to be aesthetically pleasing while we do it. And thankfully, I've got a couple ballers on my team, most notably Sebastian Jovinko and Dwayne De Rosario, that can help us play the beautiful game at its most beautiful. All right, that's it.
Hey,
I'm calling it a show.
okay,
Come back
Toronto?
and join us on Thursday. I'm getting guys from Toronto FC to come help out.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael Bradley wants to come play with us. Look at me. There's me and my
so
I'm like a
cute.
proud dad over here.
So
like a proud
cute.
dad. Me in the middle of Seba and Dwayne. But it should be a lot of fun. If you want to check that out, go to TST's YouTube channel. They got all the games streaming there. And we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll talk to you soon. Later.